Other influences include Buddhism and samurai, and in accordance with Confucianist beliefs, the group or community will always be more important than individual needs. So therefore, people tend to examine their personal achievements based on the overall group success. So a Japanese woman once stated, "The weight of trying to reconcile individual achievement in the family will always be heavy here because of our group value system." So basically, this woman is explaining the emotional toll of overcoming the pride that comes with individual success. And even if the community takes precedence over the family, which is very different from American society, where people tend to value family over all else. So the samurai or warrior class, Confucianism and Buddhism within Japanese society have dramatically altered the way of life for women. And all of these cultures were also discriminatory towards women. And Buddhists believe that salvation is not possible for women, and the samurai culture stresses the patriarchal household that with wives subservient to their husbands. During World War II, over 20% of Japan's men served in the armed forces, which took a toll on the labor force. So to fill the jobs necessary during the war, women began working in coal mines, steel mills, and arms factories. And with the men gone, women now ruled the household. Some women were forced to work full-time while caring for their children while their husbands were fighting in the war. So the war leveled a social structure of Japan. The bombings of various cities, including the Japanese capital Tokyo, devastated all the population. And with the bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, thousands of people were injured or killed, and millions were even left without a home. So the civilian morale at the time was at an all-time low. An American educated Japanese woman once stated, "The war brought to Japan both economic bankruptcy and the bankruptcy of our social traditions. This desperate situation helped to foster a basic democratic tendency." So although the war brought great physical destruction to countries around the world, especially Japan, it did remake the social structure of their society. And this new democratic tendency meant higher social status for women. General MacArthur from the United States initiated the Allied occupation, which brought a social revolution to Japan. MacArthur was well received among the people, which were desperate for a change from their previously authoritarian government. And because their previous government led to a catastrophe, the Japanese were more willing to accept this new form, which also brought success and freedom, they would thought. So, government reform. Americans rewrote the Japanese Constitution, and this included outlining war, ensuring parliamentary rule, encouraging labor union activity, introducing the emperor to the status of an average human being. The abolishment of inequality laws helped women's rights the most in post-war society, even leading to women's suffrage in 1946, co-ed high schools, women's universities, and the labor standards law, which established equal pay, maternity leave, and holiday leave for women. But however, these new laws were hardly ever enforced by Japan's government leaders. So to connect this to the women in the dunes, throughout the novel, the woman is constantly intimidated by traditional Japanese society, whether it be because she is insecure about herself or because she feels intimidated by the modernity of the real world. She struggles with this concept. And to me, it seems as though the woman prefers living in the sand dunes rather than carry on a normal life in urban Tokyo or another developed community. Can you go back a slide, please? Nikki says to the woman on pages 88 and 89, "This is amazing. This is your house, isn't it? You're not a dog. It should be nothing for you to come and go freely, should it? Or have you done something so bad you don't dare show your face to the villagers?" In this quote, Nikki is calling out to the woman for refusing to go out on a walk, and Nikki cannot comprehend why the woman would not want to leave her small house for some fresh air like a person living in a normal community would. But the woman obviously does not feel comfortable to use even the small freedoms that she is given. So in response, the woman says that she is not ashamed to show her face, and she quickly changes the subject. Do you guys think that there's discrimination towards women even in the dunes?
men got liquor and cigarettes. So I mean, they were given. I bet women weren't seen as being able to drink liquor or cigarettes. So I thought that was a bit discriminatory.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's simply a mirror of the society where it's justified that men are inherently better, I mean, and more significant. It's the same there. I mean, it's just, that's their culture.
Yeah, I agree with that. Paralleling to women at the time, the woman has no real concept of freedom. She has always lived in the sand dunes and she has always been confined. And because she has never experienced true freedom, the woman is defenseless against the males dominating the village. The males have the freedom to come and go from the village as they please. They also use the women to get money for their illegal sand business. And Nikki points this out to the woman, but she shows no anger or resentment towards the men. But the woman finally leaves the village at the end of the novel for medical care to tend to her pregnancy. You go back again. On page 132, during an intimate encounter with Nikki, the woman asks him, "City women are all pretty, aren't they?" And this quote just gives the reader evidence of the woman's insecurities, and she does not want her appearance to be judged by Nikki. And also in the novel, the woman comments on the beautiful women in Tokyo, and this can hint to the reader a further explanation as to why the woman does not wish to leave the dunes. And she is perfectly okay with being secluded from society, where she does not have to worry about how she looks or compare herself to other women. But with her relationship with Nikki becoming physical, she cannot help but compare herself to what Nikki is accustomed to, which is the woman in the city.
Okay, so I took some of the quotes from the book and just like I found some that really like brought together the whole PowerPoint and just like talking about how males were seen as like superior to women, and especially in the book you can really see through some of the quotes. And one of the first ones I found was this one, and it's the narrator says it, and it's when he is already in the hole, and Nikki finds out that like what his potential fate is about digging, and so he's understandably angry about that, and so he lashes out at the woman, and this is like explaining what happened. Completely turning her back to him, crouched with her knees doubled beneath her and her face to the floor. Was it a bashful movement? This was hardly the place. The man let out a shout as if the dam had given away. So that, the quote, like, it talks about how she's like crouching down, obviously like feeling threatened by him, and so it just like shows her feelings of fear towards Nikki, and like, and then farther along in the text, Nikki compares her to a beetle, and which is like a very vulnerable comparison, saying that like he says that the beetle like falls into a paralytic state when feeling attacked, and so he's like comparing her to the beetle and saying that she's just like feeling threatened. And the woman's crouching position shows her subconscious reaction to Nikki's anger. In Japan, during the time the book is set, women are still in the process of overcoming any limitations set upon them. So like as Grace talked about and Randy talked about, like they were able to overcome like a bunch of, or the discrimination set upon them, but it took a while, and during this time it was still like just a subconscious thing. And then the next quote is also from the same section of the book, and it's when she's disappointed in Nikki's reaction, like when she explains to him that he's going to be staying there with her, and he gets angry, and then she just seems like dejected. And so the narrator said, "She lowered her eyes and sighed faintly, and her shoulders drooped, but she made no further attempt to move. She was like a dejected, unjustly abused puppy, yet her attitude made him even more angry." So, once again, she's feeling threatened by Nikki and his outbursts, and it's just like showing that women at that time in Japan just felt a lot of pressure like on them to succumb to these limitations set upon them, especially due to discrimination.